Alright, so what time is it? 3 o'clock. I think I fell asleep. I've been taking a nap since the last video. And I have 3 hours before I have to leave to go to my CBT meeting. I have um, the notes I have to take for the group. I have the meetup to put up, the page to start, and I have this. I have to check a bank account that I owe money on that I could save for later. But it's just getting myself started to doing that. I'm still tired. Yeah. I'm finding it hard to do the second part of my day. You know what I mean? Been watching videos, sleeping, personal stuff. It's difficult, keeping the routine on without burning out or without oversleeping too. It's like it's tough. I won't lie. But got another subscriber on the YouTube account. Yay. I can't see who the subscribers are. I can only see two of them. There were two initially. One added on, then one removed, and then another added on, and now another. So that's four. But it doesn't show up. And I realized that the total views for the page only shows up a day later. It doesn't show up instantaneously. But at least it's progressing. It's giving hope. It's a reason to do these videos. It's a reason for me to say what's on my mind every time there's something on my mind. It's a friend to talk to, the camera, and any of you watching this and subscribing. It's gotten easier to do. And at least I'm moving forward in something. I feel like I'm moving forward in something. On a little side note, I got an email from one of the social workers again that wanted me to call her, but wouldn't specify what. I asked her what was it pertaining to, and she said to call her. Who do these bitches think they are, telling me to call them when I ask them to tell me what it's about? You write it down. You put it in writing. That is what I'm after. Get everything in writing. If you don't want to write it, I'm not going to call. It's not my place to call to make your job easier. Go fuck yourself. Simple as that. So, it's not easy to do that. People are out from themselves. And if they need to put my father in, keep him in the bed or whatever, keep him in the bed. If it's an intrusion upon their facility, he's been paying for the old age home, put him back there. It's not that complicated. That is that. You know? My words aren't coming out that well right now. And that I guess is kind of the difficulty, because there's not anyone to really talk to about this who understands. And I did the mistake of bringing that up to my client and all that stuff. You know, try to bring up to someone in the terms in the hopes that someone understands. Which they don't. You know, but I have to deal things with the way I have to deal things with things. I don't know. Maybe they're people are used to family members being very subservient. Subservient. I don't know. I don't know. There was that one social worker that kept coming to the house, my father's house, and I think she helped him a lot. He thought she was trying to sleep with him. He's 90 something at the time, and she was like in her 50s. Doesn't realize when he was getting help. He was having people in his life to manipulate. I don't think she realized it because she didn't know anything about him. She didn't understand European life, from what I gathered when I first met her and went to my father's house when my mother was still alive. She didn't understand anything. And it's hard to understand a narcissist. You don't, unless you're very experienced with it. I don't think she was. She was very empathetic. So it seemed like she would just bow down and do everything. She was getting paid, of course, and now the contract's finished. And now also my mother died. So my father has nobody. I'm repeating this because it's important to bear repetition, or it's important to bear repeating. Because all these years that I was gone, he never called me. He still doesn't call. But no one called me unless they were in a hospital or something big happened. Because that's when I would come in and replace whomever. So, that's not my job. Sorry. Everything's coming up. And a funny thing, I just realized with this guy I was dating, and he suddenly, well, dating, talking with, he was supposed to come this week. And then all of a sudden he stopped it. Check out the past videos to kind of see. He had this biting humor, but then I realized now everything is 2020 in hindsight, right? He would say something about my voice that sounded like I had a cold when I talked. Right now it sounds like that, but realizing now it's kind of like trying to chip away at my self-esteem. I don't think I said anything to chip away at his. Except the fact that we, have these strong characters, but he said that. Oh. I mean, he was fat. I mentioned his HIV status, that's the thing. How it was like, you have to talk, because he wanted to do a lot of unsafe things. But he was throwing that out. But he was fat and ugly. And I'm attracted to those type of people if they have a charming personality. I guess that's the seduction of it. Because all the hot people don't have good personalities. They don't need to have one. So, that's that. But I had the same dynamic with my first long distance boyfriend, off and on of 16 years. I guess he's ugly in regular standards, but there was something hot about him. And it was the same type of dynamic. And I remember once crying to him, and he wanted me to be like, And so did this guy recently. Wanted me to feel like, to let out all these feelings, and that I need you and all this stuff, and because that's what they like. But I don't have those feelings anymore. So, I've improved over the years. Because it's not love. That's not love. Glad to see I've improved on something. So, yeah. I'm starting to wake up. I'm gonna have some water. I don't like these small bottles. I have a few bottles in the fridge. These are things I bought, and I keep the bottles so that I don't wash these, because gotta throw them out. They're not the best. What is it, the BPA plastics or whatever. These aren't things that you keep. But I keep these for a while when I use them, and then I throw them out, and I have another one. Because at one time I bought some Gatorades or whatever. Yeah, I buy a water bottle, then I use it, then I throw it out. But I don't like these. First of all, I don't like it that this can kind of like open up and leak out in my bag and ruin my iPad. I was going to say iPod or iPad. But also, it's small. I kind of twist off the whole thing and drink it. But I end up drinking less water as opposed to having a big jug with me. But then the big jug is too cumbersome to carry around, you know? And so I know I have to drink about 2 of these to equal the big one that I had the week before. Or maybe even more. Probably more. 3 of these. So I guess that's a first world problem. So yeah, I feel a little better that I got all this off my head. And I think I'm going to get up, drink water, and start writing a little bit. I'm not going to write too much. Keep it brief, because I've been talking about it, and I give all the details to you. You guys, you camera. Because no one will interrupt me. No one will pretend to not listen. Well, you guys can listen as much as you want. And as little as you want. But at least I get to talk about it uninterrupted. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. It just rambles like it is now from one subject to the other. Trying to find a title for this video. Sometimes it's clear and concise. But for the group, I keep it clear and concise. And I go to this one on Tuesday, even though I don't fit in, I don't feel right with it, I don't feel like I'm being listened to, I'm pulling back. It's just a place to go to keep me structured. I know that I have to work on myself by myself. Can't go there for people being my savior and feeling accepted and all that crap. Because it doesn't happen. I have to accept myself, which I do. And, it's cheap. And it keeps me on the ball. That's the main reason I'm going. Not expecting anyone to help me. Again, as I've known for many years, no one will help me. Help yourself. Words of wisdom.